to the summer of 1756, when John Adams was 20 years old. 1756, 20 years short of the summer of 1776. And he was teaching school in Worcester, Massachusetts, which was then the frontier. Keep in mind that in that time, 2/3 of all of Massachusetts were still forest. 2/3 of Pennsylvania were still forest. The largest building in all of America was Nassau Hall at Princeton. Civilization was just a little rim along European civilization, American Western civilization, just a little rim along the coast, only about 50 miles deep. It was a vastly different world, not just from the present, but from Europe. And here he was out in what he thought was the frontier, teaching in a one-room schoolhouse, miserable. He knew he didn't want to be a school teacher. And his father had thought he would be a minister. It's why he got his scholarship to Harvard. But he decided that he didn't want to be a minister. He wasn't cut out for that. He decided he wanted to be an attorney, a lawyer, and to get into public life. And on the night of August 22nd, a Sunday, after having attended church all day, which was to be a lifelong habit for John Adams, he went out under the stars, so inspired by the sermon, he said, and also in a state of euphoria. And it would also seem by a feeling of relief that his decision not to become a minister was at last resolved. And he wrote of the glorious shows of nature overhead and the intense sensation of pleasure they evoked. Beholding the night sky, the amazing concave of heaven sprinkled and glittering with stars, he was thrown, he wrote, into a kind of transport and knew that such wonders were the gifts of God, expressions of God's love. But that the greatest gift of all, he was certain, was the gift of an inquiring mind. He would become a lawyer. But of all the provisions that God, has made for the gratification of our senses, are much inferior to the provision, the wonderful provision that he has made for the gratification of our nobler powers of intelligence and reason. He has given us reason to find out the truth and the real design and true end of our existence. It will be hard, he wrote, meaning the studies that were still ahead of him, but the point is now determined. I shall have the liberty to think for myself. We face a foe today who believes in enforced ignorance. We don't.